Sunday, January 14th, 2007. Headlining our news at this hour, a suspect in a 13-and-a-half-year-old murder case has been charged with second-degree murder. NTV's Darren Bent will have the details.
A Portugal Cove St. Philip's man is in custody tonight. He's charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder. The charges were laid in connection with the shooting deaths of Dale Worthman and Kimberley Lockyer. They were murdered more than 13 years ago. NTV's Darren Bent has the latest.
There was a large number of police and onlookers at provincial court on Saturday morning. They were there to see this man, 37-year-old Joseph Anthony Oliver, the man charged with the murders of Dale Worthman and Kimberley Lockyer. He had no comment as he was taken into court. In the summer of 1993, the couple went missing from their St. Philip's home. Personal belongings were left behind. Their whereabouts was a mystery. That was until this past summer, when their remains were discovered up a woods road on the outskirts of St. John's. An autopsy showed they had been shot to death. An intense police investigation ensued. Then late Friday afternoon, Mr. Oliver became the first man arrested in connection with their deaths. However, already, police are indicating they don't believe only one person was involved in these murders.
There is a team of investigators in place that are going to proceed and to continue this matter.
Are you looking for more suspects?
What I can tell you is that the gentleman appeared this morning is not the only suspect.
In court on Saturday, Mr. Oliver was ordered to have no contact with a list of potential witnesses. Included on that list was Shannon Murrin and Kathy McDonald. 7 years ago, Mr. Murrin was found not guilty in British Columbia of the 1994 murder of 8-year-old Mindy Tran. Ms. McDonald was a juror at that trial and later was Mr. Murrin's partner. Also on the list was this man, Steve Perrell, a former friend of the accused and a close friend of the Worthman family. He says the charge against Mr. Oliver has come as a shock.
Do you know Mr. Oliver?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, how do you know him? Can you tell me about him?
I know he's lived on the road all his life. Friends, everybody was friends.
You're surprised by this?
Yeah.
Are you saddened by it?
Yeah.
Friend of yours?
Years ago, yeah.
Friend of Mr. Worthman?
Yeah.
How does he feel about knowing who it is?
Shocked. And I was over last night and I was talking for a while and he left, went to bed, right, so. Yeah.
Hard on that.
Yeah.
Mr. Oliver is under some considerable stress and things like that right now. I'm not prepared to...
Well-known St. John's criminal lawyer Bob Buckingham is representing the accused. He refuses to get into any details about his client or the case, but does say Mr. Oliver has questions he wants answered.
I can say, though, that with respect to the matters today, my client is surprised he was charged and has a number of questions which he wants me to put to the state in due course with respect to the matters.
Joseph Oliver, a resident of St. Thomas's Line in Portugal Cove, St. Philip's, will be back in court to face the 2 charges of second-degree murder on February the 20th. He will remain in custody at least until he schedules a bail hearing, which can only be heard in Supreme Court. Darren Bent, NTV News.
For our Newsmaker of the Week, tonight we go back to our lead story this evening, the arrest of Joseph Oliver in connection with the murder of Dale Worthman and Kimberley Lockyer. It's a story that has had many twists and turns over the last 13.5 years, and one that is our Newsmaker of the Week. Here's NTV's Jim Furlong.
As we have seen earlier in our broadcast this afternoon, one of the greatest Newfoundland crime mysteries may be solved. The Royal Newfoundland Constabulary has made an arrest in connection with the murders of Dale Worthman and Kimberley Lockyer. That couple disappeared from their home without a trace nearly a decade and a half ago. Last year, the bodies of the pair were located at the end of a woods road off Thorburn Road. Friday night, the police announced that they'd made an arrest in connection with their unsolved murders. On Saturday morning, our cameras were there as 37-year-old Joseph Oliver of Portugal Cove, St. Philip's made what was a brief court appearance to have charges read against him. He is charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder. His next court appearance is scheduled for late February. That will be in Supreme Court. The disappearance of Kimberley Lockyer and Dale Worthman has been the subject of intense public interest for a very long time. The couple simply vanished from their Dogberry Hill Road home, leaving behind cash and identification papers. For years, the province has been alive with speculation and rumor. Last year, acting on information received, the constabulary finally located their bodies. They were buried in shallow grave at the end of a woods road near Windsor Lake. The road was barely passable. The discovery of the bodies provided some release for relatives of the dead couple, but certainly not closure. Another step on that road, however, was taken this weekend with the arrest of Joseph Oliver. There is, of course, a presumption of innocence, but the laying of a charge means police at least think they've solved at least part of the mystery. The investigation continues, and the laying of charges against other people remains very much a possibility. It is interesting that Joseph Oliver is charged with second-degree murder and not first-degree murder. This story is a great tragedy. It has been a time of great anguish for the families of Dale Worthman and Kimberley Lockyer. The story is this week a story that certainly is NTV's Newsmaker of the Week.